minus 2 squared, you get x squared minus 4x plus 4. You don't just get x squared plus 4. There's a middle term here. So if you do the box method, make sure that you get from here to here. Then, since this is a positive 1, there's nothing here. There's nothing to distribute, so you're just going to leave it a 1. But if there's a 2 here, you're going to distribute the 2. If there's a 1/2 here, you're going to distribute the 1/2. If there's a negative 2, you're going to distribute the negative 2. Then, you add the 3 when you're done. Now that you have the quadratic formula, you're going to plug it into the quadratic formula, and your final answer should be 2 plus or minus I rad 3. And that's answer for letter A. You're going to do the same thing for B, C, and D. If you're looking at this right now and you're saying WTF, then you need to stay in at snacks so that I can help you. Don't wait till 9 p.m. tonight and then just copy somebody's, because then you're not going to know how to, I don't know, maybe take a pop quiz this week. So make sure you know how to do this. Corner seats, move your chairs, please. Face me. Sion, can you move your chair? Yes, a lot of them. For those of you who did your retake, your scores should be inputted so you can see how you did. If you have any private questions about your grade, you can send me a message on Remind. And also, I fixed your stamp sheets. For some reason, I had it at 250. It should have been 240, so I fixed that for you guys as well. All right, this is section 5.1. We are now graduated from quadratics, and we are now into cubic functions. Tonight's homework is page 389. Numbers 7 through 12, and you're going to finish the warm-up. So make sure that the warm-up is complete before you walk in tomorrow, in addition to the 6 problems for homework. Okay? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 6 questions. Okay? All right. So sometimes people see 7 through 12 and they're like, oh, I thought I only had 5. 7 through 12, all 6 of you. All right, so a cubic function, you may or may not remember from last year, means that the power is a 3. So you're going to be dealing with now cubics. Take out your graphing calculators, please. Can I see how many graphing calculators I have per group? See if you can share. This group is nothing? You guys, we're going to pray for group 1, okay? Okay, we got 1. Yeah? Oh, this looks like 1. Exciting. All right. I can make it into a graphic calculator. All right. So we're going to be dealing with cubics today. We're going to start off real slow because we're going to do this for a couple of days. I don't want to rush it. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So a cubic function passes the x-axis at 3 points. Because that's why it's a cubic, because it has 3 roots or 3 solutions or 3 zeros. That's why it's called a cubic. And it's really important that we remember the word zeros, because that's the whole idea, is if I plug in the number, then I should get 0. That's why it's called a 0. Just like a quadratic. So if I did okay on last chapter, it's only a little bit of a step up when I'm dealing with cubics. If last chapter wasn't good for me, then it's going to feel like a huge step, and I just got to just man up and step up to whatever it is that I'm missing. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to challenge you to draw me a line or a figure or a drawing so that it passes through all of these points. Can you do that for me, please? It has to pass through these zeros. Can you do that on your paper? Do it in pencil. You can erase it if you mess up. If I want to pass through all 3 of these points, what would it look like? Hold it up and show your group. Show your pictures.
Yep, exactly.
All right, I see some people with pictures that look something like this, where you go through it, go back down, and then through it again. So what you did is you started from the bottom, now you're here. That's what some of you guys did. Some of you guys I saw did this, where you kind of started from the top and went that way. Both of those are cubics. It's very good. Now what you're not allowed to do, you're not allowed to just say, oh, here's my line. Passes through all three. That's a problem because not only does it pass through all three, it passes through many more. It only passes through those three at the x-axis, not those three and then some. It's only allowed to pass the x-axis right at those 3 points. So those are your your two options. That's it. Okay? Now some of you guys have really skinny ones and then maybe really fat ones or really small ones. The actual curvature or the concavity of each one of the loops doesn't matter. Just as long as you pass through those x-axes. Come on, are you with me, babe? Noah? You with me? All right. Now, you guys, when I say somebody's name, just... All right. So our cubics can start from the bottom, now we're here, or it could start from the top and go in the opposite direction. That's our options for our cubics. Okay? If it's a positive cubic, and I'm going to explain to you what this means. If it's a positive cubic, I need to stop writing in that green because you guys can't see. Then I want you to think of Drake. It starts from the bottom, now we're here. It always starts from the bottom. Now we're here. Think of it as here, like up, like doing well. Starting from the bottom, now we're here. That's if the cubic is positive. My apologies for the hard to read. Positive cubic. So the negative cubic is the exact opposite of that. Instead of starting from the bottom, where are you going to start? Starting from the bottom, you're going to start from the top. And I don't have a cute song for that, so just remember. It's the opposite of Drake. Start from the top and at the bottom. So if you are positive cubic, you started from the bottom, now we're here, you end up at the top. Just like Drake, started from the bottom, now we're here. Got it? If you're a negative cubic, that means you're like super duper rich, and then you in other direction. Okay? Yeah. What we're going to be asked to do today is to identify cubics and use their roots to write out their functions. Sounds super scary, but we just did half of it right here. So let me teach you how to do that. Here we go. Example 1. Let's say I have this cubic. Is this cubic started from the bottom, now we're here, or is it the opposite?
Started from the bottom.
Started from the bottom. So is it a positive cubic or negative cubic?
Negative. Oh, positive.
It's going to be a positive cubic. And how do I know it's a cubic, not a quadratic? Don't yell it out. How do I know it's a cubic, not a quadratic? Don't yell it out. One hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12. Tell your group mates why it's a cubic and not a quadratic. Alyssa, why is it a cubic and not a quadratic? Yes, it has 3, what do we call these? 3 zeros or 3 solutions or 3 roots. or 3. One more word. X-intercepts. Nicely done. So it has 3 zeros, so it's going to be a cubic, not a quadratic. Quadratic has how many?
4.
Quadratic. We just did it. Has how many? 2. We just did quadratics. I know when you guys hear the word quad, I know I did this too. Quad, you think 4, but quadratic is 2. Okay?
So what would be 4?
What are they called?
Yeah.
So we always go like power 4, quintic, power 5, power 6. We don't really call them names after that. It just gets 2 and 1. All right. So here we go. Let's say that this root is -1. Let's say this root is 2. And let's say this root is 5. Find the function to describe the cubic. That's what I'm going to be asked to do. All right, baby steps. Same thing that I did when I was doing my quadratics. If I know my root is -1, I know my root is -1, then what is the binomial before I solve? So let's say I want to get the -1 back over, and I want this to equal 0. What would the binomial equal if I move the -1 back over? What would that say? X plus 1. Very good. Doesn't x plus 1 equal 0? Doesn't that give me x equals -1? Are you guys with me? Yay or nay? The other 0 is x equals 2. The other 0. So if I want to know what the 0 was, I want to know what it was before I solved. What was it? X minus 2. Very good. X equals 5. If I wanted to equal 0, which is my 0, what would I do with that 5? X minus 5. So far, so good?
Yes.
Perfect. So I know that my function is going to be described as x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 5. Now, starting from the bottom now here means that it's positive. That means my a is going to be positive. So make sure that I'm going to be solving for a now. And let's say the last piece of information that they give me is that it passes through 0, 1. What letters are 0, 1? Is it an H or a K? Is this a quadratic? No. So I only have one choice. What is it, Cyan?
X and Y.
X and Y. Very good. There's no other choice. It passes through 0, 1. So if I want to find A, don't I already have my X's and my Y's, so I can find A now? What's my X?
0.
What's my Y?
1.
So now I can solve for A? Same exact thing I did for quadratics. So for those of us who did well on the quiz and we know how to solve for one variable, we know how to find A, this is like a little mini step. This is like from third, fourth, this is like the third floor to the fourth floor. This is nothing. But for those of us who last chapter didn't really do our homework, or we didn't really try as hard as we should have, this is going to feel like basement to fourth floor. It just means you're just going to have to put in more work. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you're going to feel like this is harder, and that's okay. It just means that if you keep yourself up to date, you won't have to work so hard later. Okay? And that's the moral of the story for this entire year, you guys. Every chapter is literally like one floor above the last floor. It's not like I'm adding a bunch of stuff. But for those of us who did okay last quarter, this last test, this doesn't feel so bad. Let's go. Let's plug in Y. What is it? 1. Do I know my A? No, but I know my X, so 0 plus 1, 0 minus 2, 0 minus 5. So that's 1 equals A times 1 times -2 times -5. What is 1 times -2 times -5? and a. How do I get a by itself? Divide by 10. So what is my a? Am I done? Almost done. I just have to plug it in now. My final equation, y equals 1/10 x plus 1, x minus 2, and x minus 5. All right, I have some questions for you, but I want, if you are in seat C, raise your hand. I want you to explain to your group how we got this equation as much as you can on your own. First, start off with the roots. 30 seconds. On your mark, get set, go. All right, Brooklyn. How did I get these three binomials, x plus 1, x minus 2, and x minus 5? Very good. So my first root was x equals -1. That means the binomial was x plus 1. The second root is x equals 2. That means the binomial was x minus 2. Very good. And the last one? Very good. All right. So Isaiah, what do I do after I get all my three roots?
You plug them in.
Tell me what to plug in. Tell me what do you mean you plug them in?
Plug in.
How come you multiply them? That's a really hard question, not just for Isaiah. How come we're not adding them? Is x plus x plus x, x to the cube? I have a question. Is x plus x plus x, is that x cubed? No, we want a cubic. Why do we want a cubic?
X cubed.
Because, well, how many roots does it have? It has 3 cubes. It has 3 roots, right? So I'm not going to add these binomials. Why am I going to multiply them? What is x times x times x? That's x cubed. Everybody with me? So when you get here, you're going to multiply these bad boys. You're not going to add them. Okay? All right, so tell me what to do from here, Isaiah. What does it pass through?
0, 1.
What letters are they? Very good. So let's go ahead and plug and chug from here. What do I do from here, Sean? Plug in what for what? Uh-huh. And then what do you solve for? What do you get? Right, which is your letter what? A. Very good. So you get your A, and then your final answer, you plug A back in, and you get this equation. What do you guys think? Pretty doable? Yes or no? Yes. All right. All right, example 2. What if I give it to you in the opposite order? Opposite order is actually easier. If I give you the roots, you have to multiply it out. Ms. Riad, that's nothing. We did that a million times last chapter. X plus 3 times x plus 1 and x minus 1. And I told you to multiply it out. Well, what is x plus 1 times x minus 1? It's a difference of squares. What is it? All right, rewind. What is x squared minus 49?
Oh,
X minus 7 and x plus 7, right? All right, so you went straight to 49. So what is x plus 1 and x minus 1? X marred minus 1. And then I just have to multiply that by x plus 3. So I could either FOIL or I could use my box. So let's say I have x plus 3, x squared minus 1. X times x is what? X times x squared is what? Kyle, tell me, what's x squared times x? X cubed, good. So x3 means like x times 3. We want x cubed, right? Heidi, what is 3 times x squared? Nicely done. Destiny, -1 times x. And Caesar, -1 times 3. So my final answer is going to be x cubed plus 3x squared minus x minus 3. How can I check if I'm right? Do I just like, oh, I hope I'm right, and go to church and take communion? What do I do? Why am I so excited? What do I get to do? Put it in the calculator. So here we go. Take out your calculators, please. Share with your groups. I'm gonna let group one have what's this calculator since we need Jesus. Can you guys put it in, please? Put it in Y1 and Y2. Put this in Y1 right here. Put this in Y2, and what should you get if you're right? Should you get two different swervies? No, you better get the same graph that overlap, or we did something wrong.
I'm trying to do that. Wait, you got two? Let me plug my name up to it. Oh, I really did. I think this one could do it. Like, you can
Are we right? You guys have the same graph? Hi, I'm Miss Riad. Just asked you a question. Are you right? All right. Do you have two different graphs or the same overlapping graph? So we're good, right? Then you know you're right. All right. Example 3. Let's say this time I tell you my zeros are -3, -4, and 0. No graph. I'm just going to tell you what my graphs, what my zeros are. Do I need to draw it out? No. I already know what my zeros are. But I can now find my binomial. So here we go. X equals -3, X equals -4, X equals 0. Lauren, help me out. What does my binomial say before it said X equals -3? If I subtract 3 on both sides, what do I get? I'm sorry, add 3. What do I get? X plus 3 equals 0, which is what I want. So my binomial is X plus 3 because it equals 0. That's what I want. It's my 0. I'm overplaying this and being annoying because I'm ready for you to ask me a question on this. It already says equals 0. So I'm ready. X plus 3. You with me? Okay. Jashawn, what do I do for X equals -4? Yep. Because now it says X plus 4 equals 0. So my binomial is X plus 4. Because it says it equals 0, I'm ready. It's ready. It's a 0 already. Ready now. So then what's my binomial if it says X equals 0?
0.
Did I go like this and say, oh, my 0 is 0? What did I box over here?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. What did I box over here?
X plus
So what am I going to box over here?
X plus 0.
Just X. You don't need the plus 0, but thank you. It's just X. You could put X plus 0, but that's like a little elementary. X. So if I ask you to multiply this out, then all you have to do is multiply X plus 3 times X plus 4 times X. Well, what is X plus 3 times X plus 4? Foil that out. What do you get? X squared plus 7x plus 12. Miss Riad, do we have to be? Yeah, you're supposed to be at that level because you already know that it multiplies to 12 and adds to 7, 4, and 3.
What do you do with the X though?
Now we're not ready. We're not done yet. Now multiply everything by x. Because this is a cubic, right? How do I know it's a cubic? 3 zeros. That means my answer better have a what when I'm done? X to the cube, or I'm not done. So let's go ahead and multiply all these out. That's x cubed plus 7x squared plus 12x.
And you plug that in the calculator?
And then you would plug it in the calculator to check. All right, we gotta do a couple more because I don't want you guys to feel like the homework is hard. Example 4. What if I tell you the zeros, don't let me lose you, are 1/2, -10/7, and 2? Are you going to do anything differently because it's a fraction? No, you're going to do the same thing. Okay? But it is just something I really want to make sure that you follow. Video, people, watch the video. Watch this. Watch this in the video today if I go too fast. Okay? Same thing. X equals 1/2. X equals -10/7. x equals 2. This one's the easy one. Let's go ahead and subtract it. This is going to be x minus 2 equals 0. And that's, I'm going to box that up. That one's ready to go. Now this one, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. Then it's going to get rid of the 7. So now I have 7x equals negative 10. Then I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So the binomial is 7x plus 10 equals 0. If you don't believe me, convince yourself. If I want to solve for x here, what would you do with that 10 first? What would you do with that 10? Okay, you're still writing, so ready? I want to solve for x. Let's say you want to get x by itself. What would you do with the 10 first? Subtract 10, right? Wouldn't you get 7x equals negative 10? And then what would you do with the 7? You would divide. Don't you get negative 10 sevenths? Boom. Right? So the binomial is 7x plus 10. Y'all with me? Okay, so how would I do 1/2? Same exact thing. What would I do with that 2? Multiply by? Multiply by 2. Multiply by 2. You get 2x equals 1. Oops. That equals 1. And then you're going to subtract. So 2x minus 1 equals 0. And that's my third binomial. So my final answer is going to be 2x minus 1 times 7x plus 10 times x minus 2 equaling 0.
And then you just plug that in?
Hmm?
You just plug that into the calculator?
Now you're going to watch. I'm still going to show you what to do from here. Any questions on how I got the 3 binomials? Now, what if I asked you to multiply this out? You have to FOIL it out. That's what we did last chapter, except now you have to do it twice. You have to multiply these out, and then whatever you get, you have to multiply it by x minus 2. All right, let's do it. Let's say you have a 2x minus 1, a 7x plus 10. Victoria, help me out. Can you help me fill out this whole thing for me? 2x times 7x? Uh-huh. Speak up, babe. Uh-huh. Here? Uh-huh. Here? I'm sorry? Negative 10. So together, all together, what do we have? How many x's, babe? Yep. All right. That has to be multiplied by what? What are we missing?
The x squared.
Oh,
Oh, no,
careful.
my bad, x minus 2.
X minus 2. Now do that times x minus 2. So now you have to just do one more time. Did I lose anybody there? Sean, you good? All right, Mina, help me out. Fill this whole thing out for me. Ready? 14x squared times x. Uh-huh. Here? Yep. Almost. Thank you. Here? Almost. (14x squared) times negative 2. I didn't hear the negative. Did you say negative? Oh, okay, okay, okay. Negative 28x squared. And then this one? Mm-hmm. And then this one? 20. So you guys are going to combine like terms now. These are like terms. These are like terms. Where's your highlighters, guys? I have my 3 degrees. I already know this. Sheenie, clean it up for me, babe.
X cubed.
Yep.
Minus 15x squared.
Yep.
And then you combine my terms and you get 36x.
Good job. Plus 20. How do I check them right? This gonna be in Y2. You're gonna put this in Y1 and make sure you get the same graph. Hey, if we were good in factoring last chapter, this doesn't feel so bad, right? Am I wrong or am I right? Okay, but if we were still struggling with last chapter, that just means I need to see you more. Okay? Your coach needs to see you more. I can't make you better if I can't see you. That means I need to see you in hour power. Give me a summary, please. Today I learned.
Would you get the 20?
20? 26. This one? This one?
No, the one on your right. How do you get-
14x squared times negative 2.
Oh, no, I know.
Oh,
Would you
sorry.
get the 20? Oh, is that 26 right?
This one?
Yeah.
Negative 26.
Oh.
13 times negative 2.
That's how X plus negative